Is housing going to be more affordable in 2026? Or are the headlines, well, just headlines? In the past couple of months, we've had some major announcements from the White House, including the introduction of a 50-year mortgage, potentially banning institutional investors from purchasing residential real estate, and the idea of $200 billion worth of purchases of mortgage-backed securities. And while these make for sexy headlines and fun news cycles, are they really going to make an impact on a military family's ability to buy a home? Let's try to break it down as simply as we possibly can. Hey, my name is Vermeer. I hope you came for the easy to understand real estate education and choose to stay for this breakdown on affordability. In the past couple of months, there's been a massive push from the White House to improve affordability when it comes to home ownership. And while I think all of these are well-intentioned, I think each individually has a negligible impact on its overall desired end state. So let's jump into it. Let's start with the 50-year mortgage. And now, you may have already seen some videos or read some articles about the topic, so I don't plan on beating a dead horse. But with that being said, it did cause a massive wave of opinion, so I do just want to provide my 2 cents. And while the intention of the 50-year mortgage was to reduce monthly payments, therefore increasing affordability, I don't think it actually has that standalone effect. And while the monthly payments would go down, albeit a very small amount, the amount it would add in interest paid to the life of the loan honestly makes it a bad idea for consumers in general. And then on top of that, even in an isolated environment in which monthly payments did just go down a little bit, it doesn't solve the inventory shortage. And as a result, I think it would actually just increase buyer demand. And as a result from that, increase home prices in a way that negated the interest rate lower or the monthly payment lowering as a result of the 50-year mortgage. So again, standalone, I don't think it actually makes a huge impact. However, more recently, President Trump mandated that his representatives buy $200 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities. But what the heck does that mean? How does it impact interest rates? And what does it mean for affordability heading into 2026? All right, well, here's the best and easiest way that I've found to explain how Trump buying $200 billion worth of bonds would impact mortgage rates and maybe improve affordability a little bit. Here it goes. Think of a bond like this. It pays a fixed dollar amount over time. No matter what, it doesn't change. So if you have a bond that pays $5 a year, and in order to buy that bond, you have to pay $100, then you have a yield of 5%, because you would have to pay $100 in order to receive 5. But just like eggs, cars, or anything else that people want, as the demand for that thing goes up, so does the price. So if lots of people want a bond that pays $5 per year, then the price of that bond may go from $100 to $110. And now at that point, you're having to pay $110 to get that $5 return. And therefore your yield actually becomes 4.5%. Because again, you would have to pay $110 in order to get that $5 return. So when bond prices go up, like from $100 to $110, the return you earn, i.e. your yield, goes down like it would from 5% to 4.5% because you are paying more for the same fixed payment in return. And in this case, you have to think about the mortgage-backed securities as bonds and mortgage interest rates as the yield. That's why the heavy buying of these mortgage-backed securities would drive down the yield or the mortgage interest rates. And so what did Trump do? He said, I am going to force the purchase of these bonds so that way the demand for these bonds goes up. And when the demand goes up, the price goes up. And as we discussed, when the price of those bonds goes up, when the price of those mortgage securities go up, the yield goes down. And so as a result, when there is a heavy demand and a lot of purchasing of those mortgage-backed securities, in turn, the mortgage interest rates, i.e. the yield, are gonna go down. And I mean, lower interest rates is a good thing, right? So like, this is good. Well, yes, in isolation, but I want to paint the picture of the reality that interest rates are just one portion of a much larger equation. Now, if home prices were to remain the same, then yes, absolutely. The lower interest rates would absolutely be a good thing. But if nothing else changes besides the interest rates, then that's actually going to just increase buyer demand and buyer competition. And if buyer demand and competition increase, then housing prices are likely to increase, which is actually going to negate any positive effect of the lower interest rates. So unless there's an actual uptick or increase in housing inventory to match the fact that interest rates are going down, then I think we're actually just going to continue to see people complain about the prices of homes still going up. And one more thing about the isolation of $200 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities being bought. Even though $200 billion sounds like a ton of money, and it is a ton of money, I honestly think it would just be a drop in the bucket. Even though it may cause a small shift in the interim, I think it would require sustained large volume purchases of these mortgage-backed securities by the Federal Reserve in order to actually have a sustained lower interest rate environment. But with all that being said, I don't know how any of this is going to play out. And if anything has been taught to me over the past couple months, we are in a wait and see environment. So I think the honest answer is we just have to wait and see how this is going to play out. And moving on to our third and final headline that we will talk about in this video, and that is the idea of banning institutional investors from purchasing residential real estate. But before we get there, if this video has been helpful, please like it. And if this is something that you want to continue to see, again, you are interested in hopefully easy to understand real estate topics and how it impacts the everyday buyer heading into 2026, then subscribe, because that's what we do here. And I hope to make more videos that you'll enjoy, and I hope to see you next week. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, President Trump put out an announcement saying that he was planning on banning institutional investors from purchasing residential real estate. Well, did that come to fruition? Kind of, but not really. Who can say we're surprised? Here's what actually happened. On January 21st, he signed an executive order titled Stopping Wall Street from Competing with Main Street Homebuyers. However, that order doesn't actually ban institutional home buying outright, nor does it require large landlords to sell existing portfolios. Instead, it directs federal agencies to withdraw federally backed financing, guarantees, insurance, securitization, and asset disposition pathways when large institutional investors seek to acquire single-family homes that could otherwise be purchased by owner-occupants. And I know that sounds like a bunch of mumbo-jumbo, and as a blanket generalization and statement, do I think that this is a good thing? I do, actually, absolutely. I feel that the need for stronger regulation over institutional investors is a good thing, especially in regions like the Sun Belt, where their density of the involvement of these institutional investors is higher, and it actually makes a dramatic and direct impact on affordability for normal folks. However, it is important to point out that they own about 1% of inventory. And so unfortunately, this one action in itself isn't going to fix housing affordability, especially if we aren't forcing sales of current portfolios. And honestly, I think this idea in this topic gets exaggerated in order to avoid talking about the fact that if we want to solve housing affordability, we need to have more inventory. We need to have more inventory and more density when it comes to housing in order to provide relief when it comes to affordability for the normal American home buyer. And so, as you can see, while there are initiatives to hopefully improve affordability heading into 2026, I honestly think these are really just headlines, and they're not going to make that dramatic of an impact heading into the new year. So what are you supposed to do, right? And I think my answer that you're going to hear a lot on this channel is you just need to do what is right for you in the moment and what you are prepared for. So when you want to buy a home, that is a good time for you to buy a home. When you are prepared financially, mentally, and emotionally for home ownership, then you should pursue it. Because I think if we're waiting for the market to crash or things to go down, I don't think we're actually in that environment. I think we're in an environment that's going to continue to be artificially held up, that as inventory stays at its same levels or only continues to go down, or for the very least doesn't increase dramatically, and affordability measures that are making monthly payments go down or interest rates go down, I think we're only going to continue to see more buyer demand, more competition, which is only going to continue to raise prices. And it's really just that simple. And if you don't have anybody to ask these questions to, or you just want my help personally, I'm gonna pause this right now so we can put my contact information at the bottom of the screen. And I just wanna say, if you have any questions at all, or there's anything I can help you with, answer for you, or get you connected to great real estate professionals who can help, then call me, text me, email me, schedule a call with a link in the bio, whatever it is, however you want to get in touch with me. I would love to be your resource, your guide in this, and just hopefully help educate you and make it sound as easy as it possibly can be. Again, I'm not here to convince you to buy a home. I just want to be there for you and protect you if you do decide to make the personal decision to buy a home. So thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you next week.